Thank you, Mr. President. This is a call on the National Assembly to urgently take over the burial arrangements for the former Senate President Joseph Wayas in terms of facilitating it. The motion is sponsored by myself and all the senators from Cross River State, Senator Jarigbe Agom Jaribe and Senator Sandy Ono. Aware that Joseph Wayas, who was born on the 21st of May 1941 and died on the 30th November 2021, was Nigeria's Senate President during Nigeria's Second Republic, 1979 to 1983. Notes that Joseph Wayas was a strong believer in true federalism as the only solution to Nigeria's democratic problems. Further notes that Joseph Wayas was also a member of the 1994-1995 National Constitutional Conference and founding member of the APP, the All People's Party. The Senate observes that Joseph Wayas brought a high degree of knowledge, style, pomp, and grandeur to the leadership of the Second Republic Senate. The Senate is worried that the remains of the late Senate President, Senator Joseph Wayas, is yet to be buried. The Senate is concerned that this delay is an embarrassment to the National Assembly and to the nation that he headed between 1979 and 1983 and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Senate is troubled that further delay in the burial of Nigeria's Second Republic Senate President will put the nation in bad light. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to 1, call on the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, take up the burial plans of Senator Joseph Wayas and see to his immediate burial before the end of April, 2023. 2, immortalize Senator Joseph Wayas by naming the Senate wing of the National Assembly after him. I so move.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I am Senator George Thompson Sekifu. I represent Rivers Senatorial District. Mr. President, normally every motion ought to be seconded. Otherwise, it's a very straightforward motion. Mr. President, this ugly story shows how endangered all of us are, especially our presiding officers. The President of the Senate during that era died, and up till now, there's no plan to bury him. I believe that the Senate is the first arm. The Senate is the first arm of the federal government. After it, the executive, and then the judiciary. If a former president dies, the entire executive, the National Assembly, the judiciary will be joined together to bury him. Same thing to the judiciary. So why is it not possible that the federal government extend a hand of fellowship to the one that chairs or heads the National Assembly? I think we should take it up and correct it so that in subsequent ones, when some of our presiding officers grow very old, like 120 and 30, like your good self, 150 years, the then federal government at that time, we know that they have a responsibility to perform. But in seconding it and commenting on it, I want to ask these fundamental questions. Whether the family has formally informed the presidency, whether the family has formally informed the Senate or indeed the National Assembly, because he was the chairman of the National Assembly, and whether they've also formally informed the Cross River State government. Maybe they have not, and maybe they have. If they have, and then there's a failure from this area, because if they inform the National Assembly, even if we don't have a post to handle it, I think we should be able to translate or transmit to the executive and ask them to go on. The same thing with the state government. So I think that now that it has come to before us, we should handle it with expedition so that it is buried within the period so stipulated in the motion. I so second.
The mover of this motion, because I was deeply worried when I read on the pages of newspapers that there are issues, there are problems in respect to the burial arrangement of the Senate President of the Second Republic. It was very, very embarrassing for someone who sacrificed so much in running the legislature of this country at a time that we wanted to put in place a democracy, a stable democracy in this country. He did very well, not only for the legislature, but he did also very well for bringing about a stable democracy in this country. And it was very disturbing to find out that even the money to convey his corpse from the United Kingdom to Nigeria wasn't available. It's not available, sorry. It's really disturbing. And this has brought to the fore the need to provide something, maybe, if you like, sort of provision for our presiding officers when they leave office. Because this is what is bringing about corruption. If someone realizes that when he's out of office and he's in problem, nobody comes to his help, of course he will find a way of getting something for himself. This is really what is encouraging corruption in this country. I remember the Senate President knows about a case where a former presiding officer in the National Assembly, I don't want to call his name, had a problem, medical problem. But the money to even to take him to hospital was lacking, wasn't there. The Senate President had to take from his pocket to assist in taking that presiding officer to the hospital. And the illness became so serious that a businessman in this country was the one who conveyed him, who took him to the United Kingdom for treatment. He's now back, hale and hearty. If not for the intervention of that businessman, the man would have been dead by now. So I think we need to find a way of helping. If we cannot help all of us, but the presiding officers, they are symbols of this institution. We can't allow them to fall into a problem when they leave office. If we do that, there will be encouraging corruption. They will find a way to help themselves. So I think we should not waste time in making sure that we provide whatever is necessary to ensure a befitting burial for former Senate President Joseph Wayas. I so submit.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, my name is Senator Uchelilan Epnifiyo, Senator representing Anambra Central. Mr. President, it's really very unfortunate that we're having this kind of conversation. Like the last speaker said, we have three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and judiciary. And we are talking about the man that was the second president of the Senate in Nigeria. I know that he has been ill. He's been in London for almost 1 year. And today we are talking about how to bring him back to Nigeria to give him a befitting burial. In as much as we don't have such in Nigeria budget, but we must take up this as a corporate social responsibility that the Senate must get involved. I think the Senate has to liaise with the government of Cross River State. I don't know whether this family has communicated officially to the Senate that they lost Senator Wayas. If they have not, it is important we get official letter from them also intimating us of their programs and activities for the burial of their loved father. Having said that, Mr. President, let us also know that Wayas is coming from somewhere. He's not from Abuja. He came from Cross River. He has relations, he has children, he has other well-wishers. It is also important that we know that in as much as he was a former Senate president, he has other people that we should get involved in ensuring that they participate also in shouldering the responsibility of giving this very noble statesman a befitting burial. So partnering with the Cross River State government will be a very good idea. So it won't look as if Senate will become an interloper in such a huge burial of Senator Joseph Wayas. So I want to recommend, Mr. President, that we get involved, but at the same time, we have to liaise with the Cross River State government where he comes from. Thank you so much.
President, my name is Enyin Nayabaribe, Abia South. I align myself with everything that has been said by the previous speakers, and I just want to make one comment. And that comment is that I find it almost very embarrassing that the Senate of the Federal Republic is having this type of debate. I do not think that we ought to do so. My suggestion, Mr. President, is that this matter be brought to a quick close, and you take the views of all our people that have been said this morning, and then something gets done about it. I think we ought to end this debate. Thank you, Mr. President.
The late former Senate President Joseph Wayas served as Senate President of the Second Republic, and he served with distinction. And as number 3 citizen, he was a national citizen, not state. And the federal government of Nigeria has the responsibility to provide for his medical needs, honestly. And when he died, and for 14 months or so, his body still remains outside the country. It's not a good commentary on us as a country. And I believe that even though it may sound self-serving, because unfortunately I am a sitting or serving presiding officer, but I will still say it because it's the truth. Why shouldn't the presiding officers of the National Assembly not have some medical support when they leave? This is provided for the president and the vice president, for the Chief Justice of Nigeria, all retired, for life. No, it's not about now. Actually, we killed it in our constitutional review. We kill it ourselves. You know? How I wish I were not a presiding officer. Maybe I will make more noise about this, because it doesn't make sense that only this legislative arm of government, the one that is a symbol of democracy, should not have any support.